All right, today we're going to be talking about the editor within a campaign, but this editor is actually available in many different areas. So I'll show you in the campaign, but just know that this editor is going to be available and the same principles will apply everywhere. So once you get it in one area, hopefully it'll be understandable in all the other areas of our system. So jumped into a campaign and I'm going to just kind of go over some of the basics. So before I click on anything, which I already did, so we'll go over some of how this is laid out. So you've got your tools on the left-hand side, then you've got the area that you're actually editing content in, and then you have the properties on the right side. So if I just click in any of the open area to the left or right, this will get me to my email styling. And this is where you can control the width of the email. So as I shrink this down, you'll see that the content is changing. Otherwise, I could just, if I type 50 would be horrible, but if I type 500, then you'll see it there. Otherwise, we'll go back to 600. So you can kind of see what that email width will look like. That just sets everything up. So once you set that width, then images will be scaled correctly for you. So if you put in an image that is 1200 pixels wide, then we're going to scale it down so it's at that 600 mark. So if you ever received an email from another vendor and you see that image looks like the size of an actual billboard, then you'll know they weren't using Tarvent, because our system does scale that for you. So you'll never run into that issue, or you should never run into it. Unless you purposely want that, then we actually do allow you to change that setting. Otherwise, there's some other things. Padding, just the padding on the left and right, or top and bottom. So in this case, you'll see that there's this 20 pixels, because you'll see as my mouse is hovered over this control, it's down just a little bit from the top. And that's because I have padding of 20 pixels at the top. Same thing at the bottom. At the bottom, I always like to have a little bit of buffer at the bottom, so when they scroll, it doesn't scroll and look like this, where it's right at the bottom. I like to have a little bit more room, so the scroll gives a little bit of space at the bottom there. So I like to put 20 pixels there. Left and right, I usually don't worry about that, because I've set my width with the 600, and then I just expect my content to go that full 600. But if you're doing a background in your content area, then maybe you want to change that. So it really just kind of depends on what your needs are. So then the typography, I can set my default font, my font size, my link color. That just kind of sets up those basic things for your email as a whole. Now, I have some things in here, so I'm going to go over the image. So first thing I should go over is the row. So in this case, this is set up with one single row. It doesn't look like it, but it's set up as one row, and there's multiple controls within that row. So that's how this is configured. Now you can set up multiple rows, especially if you want one row to have two columns, the next row to have one column, and you're going to alternate depending on what you need to do for your layout. You may use multiple rows. It doesn't matter if you use multiple or you use a single. I could have done this with multiple rows or with one. So I just made it a little bit easier and did it with one row. So for the row, I can change the background. I can put an image background if I want. Change the padding of the row. Now we have the row as a whole. So if I change this background, and maybe I'm going to just change this to, let's say, green. That's an obnoxious color, but if I wanted to, I could change that to that color. And I'm doing this on purpose because I want to drive home what the difference is. So the row as a whole, now you remember in the email, I had that 20 pixel padding, and this is actually set up as a separate row down here. So anyway, and that's just for the footer, so this is a separate control, but so I've got this set up with the background here. Now the content, I can change the content to be a totally different color. So you'll see in some emails, maybe they do a white background for the content, or I mean for the overall email, and then for the content area that might have a little bit of a little bit lighter gray, then you can do that with this. So I can always get rid of the color, and I'm going to do the same thing here because this is obnoxious looking. So anyway, so we'll go back to just white, but if I want, I can go back and change this. So maybe I want this to be just a little bit of an offset color. So in this case, because I'm using an offset color, then I can see where padding on the row may be beneficial. So I can set my, this, in this case, it's locked, meaning that it's going to use this top padding for all of it. So if I adjust this, you'll see that everything is adjusting all together because you'll see they're all locked, so they're all having the exact same padding. If I want to change that, I don't want the same padding, then I can just click the lock and it'll change to unlock, and then that gives me the ability to control all of them. So for right now, I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to go back to 0. So anyway, we have a lot of different settings in here. You can split the column into, this has got one column, but you can add multiple columns. You can add up to 12. Otherwise, when you add columns, you could say one column is 3 and the other one is 6, and I'll go over that a little bit later. My math was wrong, so it'd be 3 and 9. So try that, see if I can get my math right here. I swear I'm smarter than that. But anyway, so we have a lot of capabilities. I just invite you, I'm not going to go through all of them. It would take me forever in this video to do that. But just so you know that all these capabilities are available there. Now, when I go to a control within that row, so this is an image control within the row. So then I have my settings for the image. This is my content settings. So this is where I would specify the image. I can specify a link for that image, or I can go to the design tab, and this is where I set up all my styling. So in the styling here, when we talked about that image being like a billboard, I can turn off auto scaling. If I turn off auto scaling and I upload a really, really large image, then it's going to do a really large image. It won't auto scale it. We do the auto scaling by default, but that's entirely up to you if you want to turn that off. So we are not going to limit you, but we're going to certainly try to help you the best we can. The other thing down here that I want to call out is this hide on. So the hide on is hide on specific devices. So I can say hide this on, a mobile phone or on desktop or a tablet or what have you, or I can go into the configuration and I can add in a rule to say, okay, when this criteria is met, then hide this particular block of content or this control in this case. So I can do that as well. Now this stuff is all available at the control level. So this controls the visibility for this particular control. Now I can also go into content and I can control that visibility for a specific word or something. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So that kind of gives you a basic understanding of how things are laid out. So this is another image control, and then we'll go down to content. And this is where we're going to be adding content. Now, all of your copy. Now, when I did this, I just dragged on content. Now, the difference is that content will allow images to be placed in the content area as well. So you can do images and text. Otherwise, I can do just text, so it won't allow me to put images in, or I can do an image. Content just gives me the most flexibility on what I can do. So it really just depends on you. So that comes in handy, especially when you create templates. You can lock that down a little bit more to only allow text to display if that's what the intent of that area is. So, and to do that, to drag something on, I just drag it wherever I need to. I drop it into place and it shows up where I need it to show up. So I can drag it here, and we have some Lorem Ipsum text, just some generic text that we put in. That makes absolutely no sense, at least not to me, because I don't know Greek. Anyway, so we'll come up with that. I can delete it and I can start typing and do whatever I need to do. So for right now, I'm just going to delete that control. So one of the things I didn't go over yet, is this control capability. So within a control, I can drag this control and move it around. So I can move it around within the email. I can duplicate the control, just add another version of it. I can go into the settings, and these are those same display settings. So I can specify criteria that controls when it's displayed. And then I can also delete it. So if I want to delete this, then you can do that as well. So within the text editor, so we've had some questions on this in the past. So I kind of want to go over some of the things here just so you realize the tools that are available. So now within here, you'll see another toolbar show up at the top. So this toolbar has a lot of different things that you can do. So all of our, I would say, more proprietary features are going to be to the left, and then more of the standard editor type features like you would see in Word or any other content editor like bold, italic, and changing the font size and stuff. Those are all things that you can do. And we have these little more, so I can always extend this, and there's more menu options that are also available in here. So we just do that just depending on the size of your screen. So we want to make sure we don't cram everything in. And then we've got some other options over here to clear formatting, and there's some other options in here. You can put special characters, and you can hover over any of these if you want. You can even go into the source code and see all the source code and modify away. So if you are technical enough to know how to do this, then you can do that. I'm not going to go through that now. If you know HTML, more power to you. I will tell you that HTML for email is a little bit, well, it's a lot different than HTML for a web page. So make sure you do a lot of testing when you're doing your own HTML, because it does follow a different set of rules, and depending on the email client you're testing with, you will see that Outlook has to have a few more things in the HTML to accommodate it compared to like Gmail or something. So, so I just let you know that, so you use that with caution. But more power to you. If you're technical enough to know how to use that area, then go for it. So on the left, so if I go up here, just hit enter, just so I have some space. If I want to generate content, I can use Artitelli, just like we used the subject line in previous videos. So we can use Artitelli. I can put in some keywords. I can tell it I want paragraphs or a sentence, how many of those I want, and put in my keywords, and it can generate it. Now, if you are a pro at ChatGPT, then you can go into the advanced and you can put in whatever question or prompt you want to have it generate the content for you. So you don't have to use the keywords. You can also use a topic as well, but you can use keywords or a topic. Otherwise, you can go to the advanced and you can ask for multiple variations, and then it will give that to you and you can insert it. So you can certainly use Artitelli to do that. We have the various models available to you, and these are all free of charge as of right now. So, so that's available. Then we have our personalization. So if you know our template logic, then you can type away. There's no special stuff behind the scenes or anything like that. It's just straight text that you would put in. Most people are not going to learn the template engine logic, and we don't expect you to. So we give you this wizard. Even if you're in the code your own and you're doing an HTML where you're actually doing your own source code, we still give you these tools available, because our mentality is that while you may know HTML really well, we don't want you to be forced to learn our proprietary template engine logic. You certainly can, because you can extend the solution quite a bit, or you can extend the capability and really use our template logic to its fullest. But we give you this wizard so you can do everything that you can do on your own, except some of the more advanced, I guess more embedded type scenarios where you have logic within logic. Those sort of things are more advanced, and that you would have to type in manually. But for 99% of the people out there, the wizard makes the most sense. So I'm going to insert a personalization tag, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, I'm going to pick their first name. In fact, I'm just going to get rid of this area here, and I'm going to put in dear something. Put a comma because I want a comma at the end. So I'm going to put in dear something. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do contact. I'm going to select their first name. Now I can leave it at that, hit add, and I'm good to go. That's how it was before. But in the case that you don't have the person's first name, then you can put in a default. So I can say, dear customer. So I can do something like that. Super generic, not very original, but you can use that. Now, that's a great thing to do. That's what most of the other solutions out there provide. So in that case, we're not much different than everybody else. Now, where we stand out is this next part. With all these different functions or these helpers, whatever you want to call them, these functions allow you to do different formatting things. So if you ever import your data into our system, maybe you're coming from a system that capitalizes everything. Super awesome. I know you hate sending emails out and everything is capitalized. It just doesn't look all that great. Well, in our system, we have these functions or these helpers that let you format the data in a better way. So in the case that it comes in all uppercase or all lowercase, well, I can change it over to title case. So title case, in the sense of a first name, most likely you're going to only have one word, but you may have multiple words that show up. Maybe your first name includes a first name and a middle name, or maybe it includes the prefix or something. So whatever it is that you're going to have in there, you can use title case, and what that will do, it will uppercase the first character of every word. So it's going to do that, and it gives you a preview of what that looks like. If you want, you can capitalize the first letter. So I can do that. So that'll only capitalize the first letter of the first word and leave everything else lowercase. So, but it will make everything lowercase. But otherwise, you could switch everything to all lowercase, all uppercase. So there's various options that you can do. So these functions all depend on the data type of this particular field. So this field is text. So because it's text, we're going to have these functions that are available. If I go down and let's say I select, let's see, customer ID. Let's see if that's not, yeah, that's still text. So I go down to date. So this is going to be a date field. So now on date, I can calculate things. So I can do like days ago. So I can report back. So if it's 5/18/23, I can say, okay, the output for days ago is 5 days ago. So based on this, it's just going to output 5 because I'm using the days ago function. Otherwise, I can do format date. So the dates come in a certain format. I can select from various formats in here. So it's laid out in the exact format that you need it to be in. Now there's one more thing that we have in here. And this is for our customers that send out multiple languages to multiple countries. We have one particular customer that sends out in about 40 some different languages. So depending on the language, you can also override the culture of the overall email. In some cases, we've had people send to Hong Kong and will send in a native language for Hong Kong, but they want all their currency in US. So you can do that by selecting whatever field you want, and then you can set up the language that you want to use to format that. So again, this gets into more advanced things. You will probably not use this particular feature, but all this stuff will go in. So if I just go, I should hit cancel. So we will go back in here, and I'm going to insert one again, and I'm just going to say contact, and I'm going to put in the first name. And I'm going to say we're going to title case this, and I had put in customer as the default. So I put that in, click add, and it's going to add the stuff in here. Again, you don't have to know how to do this. Our system will do it for you. We give you the wizard, so you don't have to worry about typing all this. Once you get familiar with it, you may type it in. It might just be faster for you. In this case, it's a little bit of typing here, but some cases it might be faster for you just to type it in. Other cases, you might just want to use our wizard. So that's how the personalization works. Dynamic content works a little bit different. So dynamic content, I can put in my rules, and then there's various things I can do. So I can say if the first name is maybe starts with J. J is just a cool letter. So if I want to say if first name starts with J, then I can do that. And it's going to insert this logic in here, right here. So it's going to insert that. And it says content to show if criteria is true. And then it closes it down here. So that's how this will work. And this gets, again, this is a little bit more cryptic, but this gives you the ability to do that dynamic content. Now we have a lot of stuff in here. So if I go back into here, I can also check this box and add an area for the else condition. So if this criteria is true, output one content. If it's not true, I can check this box and then you can control the content if it's not true. So we'll give you basically that else if in like a normal if-then statement. You have if, then, and else. So, but there's a lot of operators that we have available to you. Again, this depends on the data type. So if I go into the purchase date, so then you'll see that there's different operators that are available here and different criteria that you can specify. But again, all this is done through this wizard, so you don't have to learn all the different dynamic content logic and syntax. You could just do this. And again, even in your code, in the code you're on, where you're doing your raw HTML, you'll still be able to have this available so you can put that in and then add your content to those various areas. So it makes it really, really easy. So aside from that, so we'll leave that there. And then we'll go down to underneath here. And next thing here, so insert link. Some people ask, how do you insert a view online link? Well, it's a link, so that's the first indicator. So I would say if it's a link, then you're going to probably go to insert link. You could do an external link, so you give your link text. That's just the text that they're going to click on to go to wherever it's going to go. And you put in your URL of the address. You know, this would be, well, I guess you can't see it on the screen right now, but the address bar would show that URL. So you can put that in, you can check it. You can even add personalization. So if you want to add personalization, so when you go to that URL, it has some personalized data in it, especially for dynamic websites that can use that information, you can add personalization to that URL. So that's how you do external links. Otherwise, we have a lot of system links. So we can link to a survey, we can link to a landing page, and we can link to various different things, and we can do the view online. So you have the view online, you have the one click unsubscribe. Or you could just go to an unsubscribe form. So the one click unsubscribe just means they click the link and they're unsubscribed. The unsubscribe form means that they're going to go to an unsubscribe form that is generated. We create a default one for you per audience. Otherwise, you can create your own that are branded and have, if you are going to have multiple brands, then you can have multiple opt-out or unsubscribe forms. So anyway, this is how you would insert that. So I could do that. The link text, since I didn't have anything, would say view online. I click insert and there's your view online. So now when they get the email, they can click this link and view the email online. Probably wouldn't place that link here, but that gives you the idea of how that works. So that's how you create all of your different links that we talked about. And again, there's a lot of different links that are in here. So got that. And then you can go to the image manager, and that is how, if I want to insert an image, then I can pick an image that I want to insert, put that in here. Again, this image would be huge normally, but in this case, it's not, so because we scale it. So then we can have this image in here that you can use. So, so that's how you'd insert an image. Then we go back, and the only other thing is if you want to insert a link to like a PDF. So unlike an image where it's going to place it in line, this would link out to your document manager, basically your library, but this would link out to those documents. So if you wanted to link to a PDF that you're going to provide, then you can do that using this. Otherwise, invite you to kind of look at all these other tools that are available to you. We have the undo and redo. We have the clear formatting, which just clears out all the bold and italic and all some of those things that could be a little bit weird with these editors, because I mean, we do the best that we can, but I will tell you in some cases it will add some stuff that you might want to get rid of. You'll notice as you start typing it's in bold even though you didn't have it, so you can remove formatting. So and again, just look for these little more, the little more menu, and you'll be able to find more things there. So anyway, this is a long video about the editor, but I really wanted to make sure it was complete and gives you all the information about how the editor works and where you put the information in. And some of the tools here, we didn't go over all these tools, but they're fairly intuitive on how they work. So please take a look at those. And as usual, if you have any questions, comment on the YouTube video or reach out to us on social or old school phone. We always answer our phone. So give us a call, shoot us a message, shoot us an email, what have you, and we'll answer whatever questions you have to the best of our ability. Until then, have a great day.